All right, now we're getting into the most important part of the contract, the money. This is where the deal actually becomes real. So for the first thing we're going to look at, it's the purchase price. This is the number your buyer is going to be offering for the property. Now, obviously, this should come from your conversations with the buyer, your comps, and your strategy. But for now, we're just going to plug in a number so that you can see how this works. Next thing we're going to do is the escrow. This is also called the deposit. And what this shows the seller is that your buyer is serious. Typically, escrow is about $1,000 or 1% of the purchase price, depending on how much money your buyer has to come out of pocket. And this is usually due within 3 days of the effective date. Now, let me explain the effective date really quick. This is important. The effective date is the day the contract is signed by all parties and delivered to all parties. The day that happens, that is day 0. And then the next day is day 1. So when you're talking about timelines, everything starts from that effective date. Now, let's move into financing. Most deals are going to be financed. So you're going to select, it's going to be an FHA contract. That's going to be 3.5% down on average. Conventional is going to be, 5%, 10%, 20%. Whatever your buyer is using, let's say it's FHA, that would be 3.5%. So that means they're going to be financing 96.5%. Now, here's where a lot of agents mess up. They only talk about down payment, but your buyer also has closing costs as well. So even though the system shows here's what they need to bring, that is not the full number. You've got the down payment plus closing costs, which is usually another 2 to 3%. So you need to understand that. And you need to be able to explain that to the buyer, because if you don't, you're going to lose credibility. Now, another thing you might include here is asking the seller to cover closing costs. So you might put something like seller to pay buyer's closing costs up to $10,000. This can make your deal a lot more attractive to your buyer. Okay, at this point, we've covered purchase price. We've covered the escrow. We've covered the financing section. If you do it on the computer on Form Simplicity, it's going to automatically calculate this number when you put the financing in as a percentage. So next, we're going to structure the timeline, which controls the entire deal. Before you move on, I want you to calculate this. If your buyer is purchasing a $400,000 house, what is 3.5% down? And if they're putting 3.5% down, how much do they finance? Comment below. Do you feel confident explaining the difference between down payment and closing cost to a buyer? Also, don't forget, title company information, if you have it, should be put into this section here. You're going to get that from the MLS matrix. At the bottom, it should have seller's preferred closing agent information. And then all you need to do is plug that in to this section that says escrow agent name, plug the address, copy and paste it in there, the phone number. That is where this escrow payment is going to be made to within 3 days. So your buyer will make that escrow payment to this escrow agent within 3 days.